All right, guys, after popular demand, we're back talking about new construction. And one of the things that comes up with new construction, whether you're doing a traditional neighborhood build from a big national builder, from a local boutique builder, or if you're going full custom, something that always comes up is the upgrades. One of the things you have to talk about on upgrades, and it's changed. If it's been more than 5 years since you've bought or sold a house, this is a new trend that's out there, and it's flooring. Yes, flooring is a quick conversation. For the balance of my career, we've really believed in looking for the one of the higher finishes you're looking for, at least in my part of the world, is sand and finish or site finished hardwood floors. That's the real hardwood floors that actually they deliver raw. They have to deliver them to the house. They have to season at the house. Then they go through and actually sand them down, install them, let them acclimate. The air conditioning and heating has to come on and they have to acclimate. Then they sand them down, stain them, finish them, and then they put a cover coat on top of those. Well, actually, in the past few years, depending on the size and in our particular part of the market, there's some new things that have come up in all price categories, all the way from first time buyers all the way up to full custom homes. And that is two different things, the LVP, the vinyl plank flooring, and we're starting to see these engineered floors. And you might go in and go, oh, there was a time in my career that you would go into something and be like, what are you talking about? Like, this is not, it'd be a record scratch. Like, hold up. What are you talking about? These aren't sand and finish on site hardwood floors. Well, that in our part of the world, it's very, very humid and it's very difficult. If you have a large plank floor over 8 inches, it's very difficult to keep it to lay flat because it's too humid, right? Unless you have a conditioned crawl space, you have two competing forces on that natural product, and it's just going to have some trouble. So when you're talking with your builder, ask them what level comes standard, what have they priced it for, and then what are your options, the next level up, or maybe even two levels up. One of these engineered plank floors actually scratch less, dent less, stain less. So they're actually a more durable product. And, if you have children or pets that are high traffic and high volume areas, it's definitely an option we're seeing people choose over the softer and much more vulnerable sand and finish hardwoods that have been the standard in the past. We had a client that they went through and said, we want hardwoods everywhere, all over the house, all three floors. And that was a local market move, but it was something that he thought was standard in one particular market. And then actually, when we went to the next market, that was not necessarily standard in the new neighborhood. So that was a hyper local trend. So again, lean on your agent. Make sure you're asking them about those hyper local trends. Talk to the builder and the design representative, because that's a mistake that you can make, but you want to make sure you can get what you want before you get into the build process. Next, let's talk about countertops. Almost every house we go into, people want to talk about countertops. What are these countertops? And right now, there's never been more choices, types of countertops that are out there: quartz and granite, and level 2 granite, and level 3 granite. And you really want to go through and talk about what the standard is, what it's been priced, and what we're expecting, but also to go through the process and be like, okay, what are my options above and beyond? You can really stand out if you're in a national builder neighborhood and they're putting 200 houses out there and only 4 or 5 models. It may be a choice that you really want to stand out and have a major focus and feature piece of your countertops and do something and really just elevate. And it could be something that could be done for very little money, right? It's all coming from the warehouse. There could be a volume discount. There could be an option as an upgrade, but they could also way overprice it and you could spend tons of money on it that is just not going to get the money out. So again, another micro market thing that you need to price, look into as you go, but find out what their standard features are, and then find out what levels or options. If there's an incentive, they may have some that they ordered for another model and someone changed it, and you may be able to get a little scratch and dent discount there and be able to really make a win-win for everyone. But have that conversation when you're talking about that particular upgrade. So something that I want to pause and talk about in your process is find out what your non-negotiables are. What are your non-negotiables for your next house? And know those 5 to 10 things and make sure that you're looking for those. If you need an 8 burner gas stove and that is a non-negotiable for you, and you need to make sure before you walk in that that is an option or an upgrade that can be done, for your non-negotiables. If you want an outdoor wood burning fireplace, and that's a non-negotiable because that's something that you all really want and have dreamed about for this next house. Well, then that's something you need to ask about on the very front end as you're getting into the process, because you could get way into the design and the build process, and then all of a sudden one of your non-negotiables is off the table and there's just nowhere to go, and it's over, except back to the drawing board. So make sure you're having that conversation as you're starting what your non-negotiables are. Now, you're going to have to sacrifice some of those. That's why we tell people they need to have 10, and we're going to get 7 of them. So next, we're going to talk about the trim. Now, sometimes you'll come across builders that have a trim carpenter that they really want to keep busy, and they really will do a lot of extra trim to really do some amazing things to keep them there, and you can really get a bang for the buck. You can end up doing some really cool ceiling treatments. You could do a little bit of extra trim on the baseboards or on the crown moldings, or even some accent walls. You could find someone that they'll go through and do an accent wall very, very inexpensively. Now, why would the builder do that? Well, the builder wants to keep as many good subs tied in as much as they possibly can with them. And if they help sell this and it's a boutique builder and they've got a really good, trim carpenter, they'll start selling that to keep that trim carpenter on site doing their things. So they'll stay on site and work with them. And there can be efficiencies in that for the builder, and there can be efficiencies in that and cost for you too. So, really exciting and really unique thing. Accent walls can really help with design, can be really neat. Book built-ins, you want to talk about that with your builder. So, hey, are there any trim upgrades or trim carpenter? Do you like it? Just as easily, they could say, no, we really don't have anybody. We're just putting the wire racks and the wire shelving in the closets and no built outs. And so you can just say, look, no problem. Price it out, find out. You could do it after the fact, but you want to do it sooner than later because sometimes they want to keep that trim carpenter employed and doing closets and accent walls and trim. And sometimes they just don't have that person, and then they want to price it because it's a hassle. So you're going to have to play with that a little bit and see where you go and what your best options are. But that's something that you definitely want to talk to your builder about, is your trim carpenter options. Okay, next is talking about some of your tile finishes and your surrounds, both in the kitchen and in the bathrooms. Now, this is a really great place to really have a standout feature. Your tile backsplashes and your tile in your bathrooms, around the backsplashes in the bathroom, and then also around the bathtub, and making sure they go all the way to the ceiling. All the way from tub to ceiling is a new trend that we're seeing, but not always done. Sometimes builders will try to get away with it by leaving that last 18 inches, because if they leave the last 18 inches every fourth house, they have free tile, right? And so you want to find out if they're going to do that all the way to the top. That's a differentiator when you're looking at different neighborhoods or different builders. But find out if they're doing that. Find out if they're including a backsplash, what your options are there. Again, another great thing to really make a difference. Personally, we did a backsplash not long ago that was the most expensive thing in the house that we did. It was multi-dimensional, multicolored, and it was the focal point of the kitchen. Everything built off of that, and it was brown and had some blacks in it and some grays, and everything played off the kitchen. We had white cabinets, and it was the focal point of the kitchen. It was amazing and really set off the black countertops, and really was a great thing that we did. It was the key that unlocked the design to the kitchen. So we really spent some money there. We went for the upgrade, and that may be something you'll choose to do, is to really spend the upgrade. You may not. Again, talking to the design center will help. Talk to the builder. They're not going to want to do any of those things, right? It's not like they're super excited about a backsplash. But to be clear, you want to find out what they've been doing in the neighborhood. Ask the right questions. How many have you been doing? And if 7 out of 10 have been doing backsplashes in the neighborhood, you probably want to go ahead and do it. And there's probably some building efficiencies. Or if he says, man, I can't remember the last time we did it in the neighborhood, or the builder says they don't remember the last time they did it, then that may be something you wait to do after the fact. But look for your opportunities to upgrade your tiling, your backsplashes, and your surrounds in your bathrooms. That could be a really great place. And if you do wait to do it until post close, you want to go ahead and find out if you can, one, get some of the leftovers. Builders always have extra. Could they leave the extra to do it so you could have someone come in and do it later? Or could you collectively get some across 2 or 3 of the other builds in the neighborhood? You may have some saved money there. But you want to make sure that you go ahead and do that. And that's one of the first upgrades you do after closing, because tile like trends come in and out, and you want to make sure you get the tile. You want to make sure you do it, because over time, the grout and the tile will age. So you want to make sure that all that's aging at the same rate. One of the trends we're starting to see is endless hot water. And who doesn't love to have a great, long, hot, relaxing shower? Well, the way to do that is to go with a tankless hot water heater. Now, we always get into these conversations with clients about, hey, yeah, it takes a minute for the tankless hot water heater to heat up. Why is that? Well, tankless hot water heaters don't have a tank, right? So if you go in a house that has a tank, you're paying for those tanked hot water heaters to sit there and to be heating water all the time, even if you're not asking for it. So it's a little bit inefficient, but it's these big, gigantic tanks that are either under your house or in your attic or in your garage. And now one of the new features is these tankless heaters that go on the wall and they are on demand, right? Now, what's interesting about this is they have really, really hot burners, which actually allow them to create super hot water. And then it allows the mixer to mix and match to get you super hot water. Well, it's great because you have endless hot water. You literally never run out. If you've ever run out of hot water, a bunch of people taking showers at one time and eating all the hot water, it takes a while. This will never, ever, ever run out. It does on the very front end take a minute to heat up, but let's be clear. And can we be personal for just a second? No one jumps in the shower ready to go and turns the shower on and is just like, hey, I want instant hot water. That just doesn't happen. Everyone goes in, turns the shower on, lets it warm up, and then gets in. And so that's just like, again, we're there. If you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments below. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think just about everyone that I know that we do business with goes ahead, gets in the shower, goes ahead, opens the door, turns it on, lets it warm up, and then they get in. So that being the case, tankless hot water, endless hot water, not a problem at all, not instant. Now, you could, if you are one of those people, and I can't wait for you to comment below, let me know because I'm sure you will, that then there's an option for you. And we could talk about that. Send me a DM and I can tell you what your mechanical options are on how to do that. But listen, this is a feature you definitely want to look at. It should be very inexpensive, but it could be a really big value feature and a big differentiator against some of the other houses when you're going to sell it. Now, let's turn our attention to the outside. Two final things as we get ready to wrap up these features that you should be talking to your builder about. Now, depending on your house, depending on your lot, and depending on the grade, you should always be looking about where can we get the bang for the buck and some upgrades outside, right? Everyone loves being outside on a good weather day, whatever kind of weather is the good kind of weather in your market. Everyone looks forward to being outside and thinking about having friends and family over and really enjoying that. So, you may have a covered space that's already part of the roof line that would be very easy to screen in and keep the bugs out. So very inexpensive. You may be able to ask for that upgrade, hundreds, not thousands of dollars. You may be on a flat lot that has all really flat and you're on don't have a crawl space, you're on a slab, a concrete slab. The builder may be willing to do a 10 by 10 or a 20 by 20 or even a 30 by 30, outdoor extra patio space right out the back. It may be a basketball court, maybe just for grilling and for having a patio out the back. But sometimes if the concrete truck's going to be there, it's no big deal to get a couple extra yards, and it may be a real value add. They're going to frame that up anyway. They got to frame up the slab for the house. No problem to go ahead and pour that extra slab. Finally, you could turn your attention to the fences. Now, sometimes you'll find neighborhoods that'll have specific fence requirements and a contractor that's in line and they just know how to knock things out. But one thing you want to make sure that you want to find out with the builder is, do you build the fences or is there someone else? Is there a specific vendor? And one of those two things will be true. But with all of these things, you're going to find that will be some things that the builders want to do and the things that builders don't want to do. And so with all of these items we've talked to you about, whether it's fencing or extra outdoor space or footage or the flooring, there's some of these things they're going to want to do that'll be exciting and they'll be happy to do for you. And just don't get taken advantage of. They'll charge that hassle fee is what they'll call it, right? The pain in the butt fee that they'll have. They'll be like, hey, that's just a hassle. I don't want to do it. I'll do it, but it's going to cost you. You could probably get it done. So if it gets that way and they're having that real conversation with you, then, just know that you can potentially go ahead and find that to be done after closing. Listen, we have enjoyed sharing some of the upgrades that you absolutely should not forget to ask your builder about. And now is the time that we need to ask you for a favor. Already earlier, you've done us a favor. Change that subscribe button from red to gray. And then we've asked you to help us make connections and introductions to the friends and family that you know that need to buy or sell here in Middle Tennessee. We would love to make them, our new client and our next client, because that's how we stay and provide and do this channel. So please help us make that introduction. Share this link with them and tell them that you've been watching us for a while and that you think we ought to meet and could be a great asset to them. And if we happen to not be your person or work in your area here in Middle Tennessee, we'd be happy to help you make that connection anywhere across the world and can make sure we make the right introduction to the right realtor in the right geography, in the right price category that can help you with your next home. So thanks for joining us here. Until we connect again, my name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. We hope to connect with you real soon. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.